guys.
I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling,
I was not the first one to throw a walk.
Let me just tell you what you just said.
compassionate,
I really enjoy being a judge. Now I am touching people who I will never know I touched.
she's powerful,
You should have never let them walk out of your life when she was 3.
and she's on the bench.
Don't get me preaching up in here today.
Right.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Carly Carrington is suing Kyle Barton in the amount of $1,000. Miss Carrington claims her brother crashed her car when he was driving her home and says he should pay for the damage.
Carly, I understand that there was a crash.
Yes, Your
Your
Honor.
car, $1,000 represents the deductible that
That's
you had
correct.
to pay on your insurance. But this is your brother.
My half-brother.
Okay, your half brother, the same mom, but not the same dad. All right? So what's the relationship like between the two of you? Why couldn't you work this out?
I don't think that I should have to pay for his mistake.
What kind of mistake?
Well, we were driving from the club, home from the club. It was my 21st birthday. And I'll admit, I was a little lit.
Let's back up. What is your relationship like with your sister?
We honestly cannot stand each other.
Why? Tell me why.
Back in our teens, we had a kind of a family fall through. My dad found out that there was a double life with my mother.
Oh, wow.
And so whenever we was teenagers, they split, and I ended up finding all this out at once during my teenage years. And so I moved in with her and her dad and my mom, while my dad kind of left the country and told me he didn't want to be around me anymore because I reminded him too much of what happened.
Stop for a minute. Your mother was living a double life.
That's correct.
She was married to your father,
Correct.
but she was also involved with,
My dad.
Correct.
right? And your father found out,
That's correct.
and they split, and he left the country.
Yes, he did.
And
Well-
so now he is out of your life.
Correct.
Your mother takes you to move in to live with them.
That's correct.
She marries her father,
Correct.
and now you are over there, and this is really tough.
Very.
Tough?
Well, let's be clear, Your Honor. My mom left his dad for my dad. She never wanted to be with him in the first place.
She was just with my father for financial reasons, and
So she used his dad.
But the love was never there. She always loved my dad. That's why she's with him now. And that's why he hates me, because my mom left his dad
the
for
reason
my
I
dad.
don't like her is because she's spoiled and entitled.
Oh, my
And the
gosh.
entire time that we lived together, she acted just as that way.
This is very complicated because think about it. He is 16 years old. He finds out that his mother has been living a double life. Now everything starts just spiraling out of control. His father leaves the country, and now he's got probably what he thinks is a bratty younger sister.
Well,
That's probably
he
what
was a
feeling.
bratty older brother. He didn't roll out any welcome mat for me. I was so happy when he left and went away to college, and I was so glad that it was on the other side of the country.
So you leave to go to college, and what happens?
I kind of realized that my mom and my sister were like really the only thing I had in my life. So
Wow.
whenever I decided to come back, I offered to mend our past relationship and try to do something good for her. So I offered to be the designated driver, and I took her out to the club on her 21st birthday.
Wow, stop right there, stop right there. So you're out drinking, and he decides that he was going to offer to be the designated driver, yes?
Correct.
Yes.
Which I think is really a wonderful gesture. So you all are at the party, and what goes on at the party?
So we go to the club, and I had brought a couple girlfriends with me, my friends Sandra and Sammy. So we go, and Kyle over here is just like a wallflower. He's being like a bum, a mope. He's moping around.
Well, he's the designated driver. He's
Well,
not
he
drinking.
could at least
He's
put a
not
smile
partying. That
on
was
his
not the reason he
face.
was there. Listen to me. He was not there to turn up. He was there to make sure that you were fine, and he was going to be the designated driver. So the fact that he was over there being a wallflower, come on.
I was just keeping my eye on her. I figured if I was out doing other stuff, then I was there to protect her.
He acted
And if
like
I
he
did-
was
and
in
if I did-
prison the whole time. He was like frowning, he was moping around. Like, come on, you're at a club. You can't buy a cute girl a drink, have a little fun, have a little dance. You know, like he was just
You didn't
moping.
appreciate the offer. She didn't appreciate the offer.
I understand that now.
Oh,
That's why we
clearly.
go back to her entitlement.
Oh my goodness. So now you're at the 21st birthday. You think he's a nerd, he's a prude, and he's not having a good time. But he was being responsible because he wasn't drinking, because he was going to be the designated driver, because you were drinking, yes? You were in no shape to drive home, yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so now this whole thing comes down to this accident, which is why you're in here suing him, yes? So
Yes,
you all
Your Honor.
leave the club and you tell me what happened.
As we was driving home, well, before we left, I thought I was just taking her home and we was just going to call it a night there. But she ended up bringing some more of her friends with us.
All right.
And while we was in the car, they were being loud and distracting, but I was doing my best to maintain my eyes on the road. And then we came to a crosswalk where somebody was walking, and she, under her impaired judgment, thought that I was going to hit the guy. So even though I already took action in slowing down for the pedestrian, even though it was a stop sign because this was a residential area, she still decided to grab the wheel and then pull us into a car on the side of the road, causing the accident.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
We're approaching a red light. He's not paying attention because he's too busy playing, you know, whatever with Sandra. And there's an old man crossing the street, and he's literally going to hit this man head on.
And later,
We got very close. We started dating.
Wait, you have a different version of this?
Friends with benefits?
Oh, friends with benefits.
The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Carly Carrington, who is suing Kyle Barton for property damage.
What happened, Carly?
Well, what he's leaving out so conveniently, Your Honor, is that the only reason I brought my friends in the first place is because I saw that him and Sandra had a little spark. I saw that he was checking her out, and I saw that for
Wait a minute, just a couple of seconds ago you told me that he was a wallflower, he was a nerd, he wasn't having a good time, he wouldn't even buy a girl a drink, and now you're telling me that there was a spark?
He might have bought her like one drink, but I saw him looking at her. I saw him checking her out. And I was honestly trying to do him a favor. So I said, hey girls, come along, like after party at my house. Little did I know, Kyle was like, I'm tired, I just want to go to sleep, you know, typical, boring. So we're driving, and
What you call boring, I think is responsible, but go ahead.
well, anyways, Your Honor, so we're driving home. It's Sandra and Sammy in the back, and Kyle and myself in the front. Kyle's driving, I'm in the passenger. We're like blasting the radio, we're hanging out the window, we're just living it. And he's like, oh, turn it down, I don't like that song. You know, he's just being his square self that he always is.
Okay, so get to the point.
So anyways, so Sandra's in the back, she's doing the most, she's giving him a massage, she's like ruffling his hair. He turns around, all the way around, and starts rubbing
That's
her
false.
leg. At that exact moment, we're approaching a red light. He's not paying attention because he's too busy playing, you know, whatever with Sandra. And there's an old man crossing the street, and he's literally going to hit this man head on. So
That's not true.
impulsively, I reacted, I grabbed the
That's not
wheel, and
true.
I turned it. And in doing so, I crashed into the car.
We go from being a wallflower, a nerd, boring, to all of a sudden now, he is turning around in his seat, driving, and then trying to touch the woman's leg in the background. Makes absolutely no sense. They're all inconsistent.
He was practically in the back seat at that point.
In the back seat. You know why you thought he was in the back seat? Because you were drunk. What happened with the man crossing the street?
He made it out alive.
Yeah, barely. Barely.
Did you see the man crossing the street? Was
Yes,
he
I did.
ever in danger?
No, he was not. I was completely in control of the situation.
Oh, please.
Until she grabbed the wheel.
Yes.
And
Everything
she
was
grabbed
going
the
good
wheel
all
and
night.
she forced the car then to go into the...
Yes, and everything was going good all night until she decided to act responsible.
Trying to save someone's life. I didn't want us to be charged with
Let me tell you, I think
vehicular
you were drunk.
manslaughter.
I think you overreacted. And then you're going to come in here and sue your brother for the deductible on your insurance for $1,000.
Well, I had to pay out of pocket.
I don't
and the
care.
only reason I
I
grabbed
don't
it is
care.
because he was
Do
going
I
to
care?
hit that guy.
Do I care? No. So, what you don't appreciate is that this is a man who has really tried to bridge the gap. He didn't have to be the designated driver. He did not have to put up with you and your bratty kind of attitude that night. Because I can only imagine if you're sober now what you must have been like if you'd been drinking. I mean, you know, you're probably hell on wheels. And he was kind, he was patient, he drove you, plus these two friends. And I don't believe that he would be so irresponsible that he would absolutely be in a position that he would hit this man in the crosswalk. I think you were drunk. I think you were overreacting. And what you really need to do is try to fix it with him, not sue him. Fix it with him, not sue him. How many times do I need to say this?
None, Your Honor.
So what do you have to say to your brother? And I didn't say half brother. I said, what do you have to say to your brother?
Look, Kyle, I understand that you are upset about your dad and everything that went down, but you don't have to take it out on me, okay? I'm not the only one, you know, you're not the only one whose life was turned upside down here.
Your life wasn't turned upside down. You had a mother and a father in a very comfortable situation. I don't see where he is now trying to take it out on you. I see him saying, look, I want to put the past behind us, and I really want to be a brother to her. That's what I see. And I see a selfish, self-centered brat that doesn't understand that she needs to do some giving instead of always be receiving. You aren't going to get a dime. Your claim is dismissed. We'll stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
I'm sorry my mom liked my dad better than yours.
I'm sorry, I thought we could have a relationship.
Coming up,
Let me tell you this, Your Honor. One of the luau dancers comes over and says, introduce me to your mother. And I'm furious right now because my feelings are hurt. He should have stood up for me. He should have said something.
closed captioning provided by Jovan Smith is suing Marilyn Reed in the amount of $672. Mr. Smith claims Ms. Reed ditched him during their Hawaiian vacation and says she owes him for the additional hotel nights.
I understand that you all had been in a relationship.
No, we have not been in a relationship.
Yes, we were, Your Honor.
You were in a relationship. Well,
Yes.
clearly you're not now because you're on opposite sides of the courtroom. So how do you know him?
We got very close. We started dating. This went on for about a year.
Wait, you have a different version of this? She says
yeah.
that you all were very close, you were dating.
In my defense, it was friends with benefits.
Oh, friends with benefits.
Friends with benefits,
I
huh?
haven't heard that term in a while, quite a while. I understand from the complaint that you all were going to go on this trip together. Is that right?
Yes.
You understand that? And when you all decided on the trip, how were you going to finance this trip?
I'd never been to Hawaii, so it all sounded great. And
Right.
I told her that I don't have the money to, go on a trip like that.
And what was your agreement about
I
this trip?
agreed, Your Honor, to pay for the hotel,
Okay.
which was a very extravagant hotel.
And how long were you all planning to be there?
We were there for 8 days, Your
For
Honor.
8
Supposed
days.
to be for 8 days.
Supposed to be there for 8 days.
Yes.
So, all right, so now we're there. Hawaii is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
And why are you in my courtroom?
Because, I was actually forced to actually pay for another hotel that I'm suing her for.
Miss Reed, what happened?
On the 4th day, Your Honor, we decided to go on a luau the next day.
Okay.
The luau started out same as the first 3 days, very
Right.
romantic. We had fun. We're doing the limbo and things like that, and I actually hurt my back. And he
See,
was
I
so
actually,
busy interacting with the luau
I
dancers
actually helped
and the
her.
guests
I actually
that he
helped
didn't
her
even pay attention that I was hurt, Your Honor.
So now your back is hurt. You're aggravated because he's paying attention to all these other women and not you. So what happens?
So then, let me tell you this, Your Honor. One of the luau dancers comes over and says, introduce me to your mother.
Oh, my.
And he's looking at me like,
I didn't think it was
I'm
a
not
big deal.
understanding what she said wrong.
Coming up,
So I go to my hotel. He comes to the hotel, supposedly checking on me. He decides to leave and go finish his night out on the town and finish going to the luau contest.
The verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Jovan Smith, who is suing Marilyn Reed for travel expenses.
So your feelings are hurt, you feel like you've been disrespected, and you hurt your back.
Right, and it was very rude.
Oh my goodness. What happened the next day?
Okay, now let me say this, Your Honor. So I go to my hotel. He comes to the hotel, supposedly checking on me. He decides to leave and go finish his night out on the town and finish going to the luau contest.
Hold on, let me stop it.
And he stays there.
I didn't
By
actually
this
just
time,
leave.
I'm fed
I actually
up.
checked on her.
Hold on 1 second. What happened then?
I actually checked on her. I checked on her a few times.
When?
Oh, how many
know?
times did you check on her?
Probably about like 4 times.
Listen to what you said. You left the luau. You go to the hotel room. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. You're telling me 4 times you did that?
Well, the
I mean,
4
really,
times.
honestly, what?
The 4 times was actually including downstairs too.
That doesn't count. So is it your sworn testimony that you went upstairs 3 different times? No, it's not. Of course it's not, because you're lying. What happens the next day?
By this time, Your Honor, I'm so fed up. I just decide, you know, I didn't plan this trip by myself to come here alone. I could have went on my trip by myself.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
So I decided to go home. And I checked out of the hotel. I paid upon what we agreed upon being together for the time we were there together.
So that is why you're suing for this amount of money?
I was forced to, you know, stay in a cheap hotel because she ditched me and was supposed to
You should have been ditched
stay
the way you treated me.
for the 8 days. So
now you're in here suing her for the 4 nights that you had to go and stay in a cheaper hotel.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return.
He said you were a friend with benefits. You said, oh, Judge, we were in this relationship. I cared about him. We really connected. He didn't pay you the kind of respect that you were paying him.
Yeah.
And if he thinks that he's going to get a dime out of this $672 that he's coming here suing for today, hell no.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're not
Thank you,
getting
Your
a
Honor.
dime of this
Thank
money.
you.
But you know what? I really ought to make you pay for some of this. You know why? Because you should have seen this. You should have seen what he was, who he was. So if you ever get back in a situation like this and you come back in my court again, understand I will not have any mercy on you. Nothing further. I am dismissing your claim of $672, and the next time, be more thoughtful. Nothing further. We'll stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
The judge was right. I should have seen through your BS from the very beginning.
I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, I had a great time in Hawaii.